The Korean-marked Genesis is going electric, and we're here to check out one of 3 new upcoming models called simply the Electrified GV70. That's right, there's no forgettable alphanumeric code in this model's namesake. This is a prototype, which is why we're here at a special test facility and not out in the urban jungle. But it doesn't look like a prototype, in that it's not covered in camouflage, or it doesn't look like Uncle Len's paddock basher. Genesis whipped the sheets off its Electrified GV70 back in late 2021, so there's not a lot of information that's not known about this new car. But this isn't quite the spec that will hit showrooms in the coming months, so I'm hoping for some surprise and delight, particularly in the driving experience, because frankly, it looks pretty familiar. Besides the unique 20-inch wheels and a little bit different front and rear styling, you could easily mistake this for an ICE GV70. There aren't even any EV badges. Unsurprisingly, it's largely the same vehicle right down to the architecture, so there's no dedicated EV platform for the medium SUV. Yet. Obviously what is new is propulsion, so let's take it for a drive. The Electrified GV70 comes in one powertrain configuration. It's a dual motor setup, one for each axle, with each motor outputting 180 kilowatts and 350 newton meters. So a total of 360 kilowatts and 700 newton meters, but you do have to push the boost button on the steering wheel to access it for up to 10 seconds. So let's see how boost mode goes. There's a fair bit of wheel spin there from the front axle. Packs a 77.4 kilowatt hour battery, and Genesis is claiming a peak range of over 450 kilometers. Recharge times depend largely on method and infrastructure, of course, but on 350 kilowatt fast charging, Genesis claim that it'll go from 10 to 80% charge in around 20 minutes. So recharging is about on par with what the premium Euros are offering at the moment, and the same can be said for performance. Genesis claims the Electrified GV70 will hit 100 kilometers an hour from a standstill in about 4.5 seconds. So while it's certainly not hanging about, it's not claiming to match any kind of Tesla-like acceleration lunacy. So there's multi-stage brake regeneration which you can adjust via the steering wheel paddles. That includes a handy one pedal mode for stop-start traffic around town. The system can decouple either axle to reduce parasitic loss, and in its lightest settings, there's almost no regeneration whatsoever. Drivability-wise, you really get the best of EV benefits. It's immediate and it's crisp, incredibly linear, and when you do dig into the throttle, there's just a tremendous amount of torque, even when you're in eco or comfort modes. In fact, there's so much squirt that there's really not much point in messing around with the drive modes at all. Because the drive system and the battery sits so low in the chassis, there's a really flat stance when you hook it through a corner. Surprisingly light for something that weighs over 2.3 tons, particularly in the steering. And all that torque really masks the GV70's considerable mass. It has the same platform and strut front and multi-link rear suspension as the regular ICE GV70s. But these electrified versions get the road preview adaptive smarts as standard. So far so impressive for this prototype, but it doesn't fit the same suspension as the Australian production versions. When the Electrified GV70 hits local terra firma in Q3 this year, the Aussie versions will get a localised tune from components that have been cherry-picked from the global menu. Genesis hasn't settled on a final figure yet, but the Electrified GV70 is set to be priced somewhere between $105,000 and $115,000 in one sole trim level. It's around 30 grand up on a 3.5 litre all-wheel drive version of the GV70, which makes it clearly the flagship of the range. That's similar money to BMW's iX3. Check out our written review for all the nitty-gritty on the prototype, but stay tuned to the channel for all the specs and prices and latest details of the Australian production version. So leave your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.